Today, we've rounded up a selection of great everyday carry gadgets that are all licensed to thrill. Let's check them out. This is the Plaud AI voice recorder, recently funded on Kickstarter to the tune of over $1 million with more than 7,000 backers. And the Plaud Note is an essential gadget for secret agents everywhere and all those that need an audible or written record of events, meetings and phone conversations. Now what we have here is a voice recorder that's more than just a voice recorder. As you can see, for a start, it's credit card size, super slim at just 3mm or 0.12 of an inch and weighs just 30 grams, which is just over an ounce. The case is aluminium, not plastic, and everything looks really nicely made. Now on the front we have a button, a switch and an LED, and we have a couple of microphones on top, and on the back we have a bespoke magnetic charging connector, and I'm guessing the device is too thin for USB-C, which would have been preferred. The mics are sensitive and can pick up sound from several meters away, and there's a noise cancelling option to maintain clarity when background noise might be a problem. And as you might expect, there's an app for this device which will be available on Android and iPhone. So let's see the voice recording in action. Press and hold to start recording. So it's now recording. We've got the red light on, and this is ideal for meetings, lectures or voice notes. Then to stop recording, press and hold again. And it's now off. Go into the app. You can see we've got a new file. Hit that, hit play. So it's now recording. We've got the red light on, and this is ideal for meetings, lectures or voice notes. And the recorder comes with a case which still gives access to the buttons on the front and also charging on the back, and it also offers a good level of protection for the device. More than this though, the case is MagSafe compatible, meaning it happily attaches to an iPhone and some Android phones, although if your phone doesn't offer this feature, you do get this steel self-adhesive ring you can stick to your phone to solve that problem. Attaching the recorder to the back of your phone is not just somewhere to store it though. Flick this switch and you activate voice conduction recording mode, which along with one of the microphones on the top records both sides of a phone conversation. Now this is something iPhone has never allowed you to do, and Android, which did allow it, have recently backtracked and have also restricted this type of use, and the reason is that recording a phone conversation has legal implications depending on where you live in the world. I personally though think it can be really useful to be able to record a phone conversation, so I see this as a great feature for the Plaud Note. Okay, let's quickly see that in action. So I'm going to start the recording, stick it to the back of the phone. It's set for phone call mode. Then I'm going to give Jamie a call. Jamie, as you probably know, works with me on the channel.
Hello.
Hello matey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm just checking out the Plaud Note voice recorder, so we're going to be on the video.
Excellent. Guess what I'm looking at?
Oh, I don't know.
The thrashing I gave you on the last budget challenge. That's 2-0, John. 2-0. And you owe me lunch.
Brilliant. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Lunch.
Bye.
Bye.
Charging the Plaud Note takes around 2 hours. It has a continuous recording time of about 30 hours on a full charge, and it has 64 gigabytes of memory, which is good for 480 hours of recording on the device. Now the app, which is in beta as I record this video, immediately downloads all the audio files to your phone, in addition to them being stored on the recorder itself. And it also backs up the files to the cloud, and there's no additional cost for this feature. And it's in the app where you'll find the final unique feature of this voice recorder, because using AI and advanced algorithms, it instantly and accurately transcribes the audio across many languages into time-coded text, which is really useful. And then utilizing ChatGPT, it enhances the content, presenting it in one of 5 chosen styles, such as a diary style, or as a meeting note, or even as a mind map, and you can easily jump from one to the other. It's worth pointing out that the AI transcription and presentation features will come in at a monthly cost of around $10, and that will be easily justifiable if you make regular use of them, but not necessary if you don't. The device itself at the time of recording has finished funding on Kickstarter and is now available to pre-order on Indiegogo at around $100 and due to ship in October 2023. And as always, you'll find links to everything featured in this video in the description down below. Just looking at this makes me want one. It screams secret agent and mystery tech. What could it be? Launch codes for a nuclear sub perhaps? Well, not quite, but the good news is that this is actually really useful. It's a tracker primarily for your wallet, but it could just as easily work with anything you don't want to lose or leave behind. This uses Apple's Find My network, which if you're an iPhone user is great because it works so well, and if you're an Android user it's not great because it won't work at all. And this is made by Rolling Square, who interestingly make one of my other favourite gadgets, the InCharge X keyring cable. Now Apple only have one AirTag design, which is good for bags and keys but pretty useless when it comes to flat items like a wallet. They have though licensed the Find My technology to some other companies who have happily filled the gap. In fact, I've been using this Chipolo Spot wallet finder for ages now in my wallet, and it works with Apple's Find My and it's been great. And in case you were wondering, these still work fine in wallets with RFID protection, different technology, NFC versus Bluetooth. And just to recap, if you leave an item behind, it alerts you, and if you lose it, every iPhone on the planet has the ability to find it and alert you when nearby. It's a great system. In fact, the only thing the third-party devices like this can't do is the close direction finding thing you see with an AirTag, which requires Apple's chipset. Not a huge problem as it turns out, because when you get close, you can simply get it to make a noise like this and find it that way. And usefully, this Aircard is quite a bit louder than an AirTag. Setup is quick and easy and all done in the Find My app. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this Aircard is an engineering work of art. It's actually machined from aluminium and has no less than 3 tempered panels of glass, would you believe? There's no plastic on this thing. And as far as I can work out, it's also the thinnest on the market at just 2.2 millimeters or less than 1/10 of an inch thick, and it weighs just 19 grams or 0.7 of an ounce. Now the battery is non-replaceable, but it does last for 2.5 years, and if you return the Aircard back to the supplier, they will recycle it back into a new one, and you then pay half the original price for your next one. And finally, this has an NFC chip built in, which acts as a digital business card, so holding a phone against the card should provide your contact details via a web link, and the QR code on the front when scanned does the same. And if someone finds your card, they can also use that to contact you. The Aircard is one of several devices in this lineup that has been funded on Kickstarter, having raised over €1 million from more than 18,000 backers. And at the time of filming, it's available for pre-order on Indiegogo at around £30 or $. If you are looking for a flashlight that Q might have created, then look no further. This is the Loop Gear SK01S Skywalker, and it's one of the most unusual flashlights I've come across. And when I say unusual, I mean things like this finger loop, which has a nitride ceramic glass breaker built in and also doubles up as a precision fidget spinner. Or how about a second smooth bearing fidget spinner at the front of the light to keep your thumb entertained. And not to mention the spring-loaded body extension, which gives a better grip and flies back into place at the push of this button. or the chunky bezel here with a further 4 ceramic glass breakers. And then there's this tail switch with phase-in LED array and also LEDs at the front which are colour changing and can be seen from the sides, and also the front reflector. And there's a myriad of different lighting effects to choose from depending on the light level and the chosen mode. And these are things you don't normally expect to see on a flashlight, and you have to ask yourself why. And it's not like these are cheap editions either. The quality and detail here is exceptional everywhere you look. As for the main LED light, it uses an SFT40 LED with a max output of 1600 lumens and a maximum quoted range of 500 meters. The battery in here is an 18350 with a capacity of 1100 milliamp hour, and it has a built-in USB-C charging port. So this is actually quite a small power source for a light of this size, but it does offer a low 5 lumen mode with a 16-hour runtime, 150 lumen light level, which will easily get you home and should last for around 3.5 hours. And then we have a high mode of 600 lumens, good for about an hour. And then you have the 1600 lumen turbo mode, which will run for around 30 seconds before dropping down. And there's also a strobe mode and a lockout mode for the main light. Operationally, you have direct access to the 5 lumen mode and also direct access to turbo and back down again to the last used light level, which is what I always like to see. And with an IP67 rating, you'll be fine with this in heavy rain, but try and avoid submerging it. And so with the exception of the battery size, this is actually a very practical light with a host of what you might call impractical, albeit rather addictive features. And yet there's no denying it looks amazing and it's built like a tank. And it would of course be right at home in a Bond movie in the hands of a baddie looking like it needs to be deactivated. Expect to pay around $200 for this aluminium version, and if you want to spend more, there is also a titanium option. And if you want something that performs more like a lightsaber when it comes to beam size, there's a LEP or laser excited phosphor option too. Next up we have this, and this is something I can imagine you might find in Bond's inside jacket pocket. This is the E62 Multi-functional Pen Light from flashlight maker Wuben. And first impressions are great. This looks and feels really well made and really nicely engineered, but what does it do? Well, despite having the word pen in the title, it doesn't actually write. Instead, what we have here in the end is a glass breaker tip that actually looks pretty effective and I suppose could save a life. Then we have a flashlight feature, easy to use with 3 brightness levels that could help you find your way home in the dark. We have a 3 lumen light level lasting 15 hours on a full charge. Then we have a 30 lumen level which could light your way ahead, and that will last for around 2.5 hours. And then we have 130 lumens, which is nice and bright, but will drop down in power after 30 seconds. All in all, a really nice feature, especially if you don't routinely carry a flashlight. This light can also be used as a warning light with a double press. Now, I have to say I'm not a big fan of this. I would much prefer a simple red flashing light, because once you introduce a blue light, you are now potentially impersonating the police or other emergency services. It all sounds daft, I know, but on an unlit road at night, the lights can appear very bright, and scale and depth perception with no other visible reference can be confusing, and you could end up creating a hazard rather than highlighting one if you're not arrested first, that is. And I have another niggle when it comes to the light, which relates to the charging, and for me is a bit of a deal breaker, because in here we have micro USB charging when we all expect USB-C. And that's a bit of a shame. And then here we have a really strong pocket clip, and next to that we have another genuinely useful feature, a fold-out utility knife. So super sharp with replaceable blades. The blade does open into a detent, but it's non-lock-in. So the good news is it can be carried legally in more countries like the UK, and the bad news is it's a little less safe to use. So a great gadget in many ways, with the glass breaker, a useful light and a utility knife. Nice design and well made, but let down, for me at least, by the blue flashing lights and the old charging socket. As for the price, expect to pay around £50 or dollars. If part of your day involves defusing a nuclear device, then this is the screwdriver I would want in my pocket. And it's not often I'm impressed when something arrives in the post at Gadget HQ, but I was when this showed up. Now this is the new Metmo pocket driver, and it's possibly the nicest screwdriver I've ever seen. And I always get excited when you have something that is functionally superior, high quality, and looks amazing, and that is exactly what we have here. This is made in the UK, and at the time of filming is available for pre-order on Indiegogo, having been fully funded on Kickstarter. And by fully funded, I mean this has already raised over £1 million in funding from over 5,500 backers, which is seriously impressive. It's a pocket-sized version of an earlier success, the Metmo driver. Essentially the same concept, but that was much larger, and I much prefer this pocket version. This, as you can probably see, is beautifully engineered, and this version is all stainless steel, although there is also an option with aluminium components, which is around half the weight. Now the design is based on a 1920s patent reimagined for the 21st century, and essentially what we have here is a 1/4 inch bit driver, which means you have access to a huge range of bits, from hex bits to Torx bits to Phillips and flathead to socket bits, and the list goes on and on. A nicely strong magnet holds the bit in place, and you have this exposed ratchet mechanism with a super satisfying action and with loads of grip provided by this handle here. But what if you want a serious amount of torque? Well, then you have that too when you open up the handle. You now have an incredible amount of grip that can deliver power using the arm. That is well beyond what you could achieve with a traditional screwdriver using just rotational wrist strength. And you still have a compact tool here, so you can get into tight spaces that a powered screwdriver has no hope of reaching. The ratchet here is lockable, and as you would also expect, it's reversible. On the end here we have a ball detent, and that holds the handle closed, and that base actually unscrews, and that reveals storage for a couple of bits. And I'm sure it could be engineered to accept more, but I suspect at the expense of strength, and that's what this is all about. Now it's hard to ignore the fidget factor on offer here. The mechanism is crazily addictive. And to see what this screwdriver is capable of, check out the link to the campaign in the description down below. And if you're tempted, prices start at around £100. Nighttime secret agent activities require the use of a flashlight, of course, and this one stands out as being different. The Glowstone is super pocketable, being just 1/2 inch thick and smaller than a credit card. It's fully sealed in silicone, which means you can throw it off the top of a building, scuba dive with it, and then freeze it in a block of ice, which, let's face it, is just another day at the office for 007. Originally funded on Kickstarter, like so many cool bits of kit, the Glowstone is now available to buy. The 30 LED array provides a wide and flat room filling light, so this is not a beam. The maximum output is a bright 900 lumens, and there are 3 very usable light levels here, which are good for 4.5 hours and 7 hours of duration, or 1 hour at the brightest level. And there's also a 4 LED mode, which is good for 16 hours, and a single LED or candle mode, which is good for 50 hours. Now the color temperature of the light is 5600 Kelvin, which is an ideal temperature. It's not too warm and it's not too cold, and it offers an accurate color rendition. As for other light features, there's an edge light which will run for 100 hours, followed by a batch of signaling and strobing modes, which you step through one by one, and that includes a visual indication of the remaining battery life. The operation is a bit daunting at first glance, but once understood it all makes sense, and it's super quick to bring the light on with a single click, and then subsequent presses step through the different light levels, and then to turn the light off you just press and hold for a couple of seconds. As this is a fully sealed unit with no ports, charging requires a Qi inductive charger, and if you don't own one you'll need to buy one separately, and inductive charging will take about 2 hours. The other things to know is that there are lots of carry and holder options available for this light, some being better than others, and that includes things like a belt clip, a headband, a nano suction pad, and a GoPro mount, as the flat light output makes this ideal for a movie light or a photographer's light. The unusual form factor immediately separates this light from most of the competition out there, and I particularly like the compact size and the rugged construction and the practical light output. It's available in black and white and expect to pay around £60 or dollars. One of my most recommended gadgets for travellers and secret agents alike is the power bank for those times when your activities have outlived your phone battery. And here to save the day we have the Quadlock wireless battery pack. And as some of you will know, I'm a big fan of the Quadlock range. In fact, their cases have protected my mobile phones over many years, and I have a corresponding Quadlock mount in my car, on my mountain bike and on my desk. So I was delighted to see that Quadlock have added a power bank to their range, and like everything Quadlock do, the quality is without question. As for the design, it is understated with this matte black aluminium, not plastic, housing and the very subtle Quadlock branding. The capacity on offer here is 5,000 milliamp hour, which is good for a full charge and more, whilst keeping weight and bulk at a manageable level. The power bank attaches to the new mag Quadlock phone case with strong magnets to enable that wireless charging, and they are very strong magnets, which I like. And then you have the additional benefit of the Quadlock mount to stop the power bank from being dislodged, and that might be when grappling with a supervillain or just grabbing your phone out of your pocket. On the base here we have a two-way USB-C socket, so you can either charge the power bank through it or use it to charge a phone that doesn't use Quadlock or another device using a USB-C to C cable. We have 4 LEDs here on the base. 3 of them are white and they show the charging level in thirds. And then we have a blue LED, and that's just to confirm that wireless charging is in progress, and it flashes if there's a problem, which might be, say, a foreign object getting in the way. So this, in my view, is a no-brainer for Quadlock users like me who want to be prepared on their travels. And it's also another reason for people to buy into the expanding Quadlock system. And if you'd like to see some more gear hauls like this one, then just click on this link right here. That's it for this one. Thank you, as always, for watching, and I hope you can join me in the next one.